Now, it's funny because I would like to talk a little bit about God of War Ragnarok this morning, all right? And at this point, it's time to address it. This playthrough has been going on forever, and you got to wonder why, all right? We've got to finish God of War Ragnarok in order for me to do my year-end series. But it seems like every time there's an opportunity to choose between God of War Ragnarok and another game, you guys always choose the other game, right? And it's funny because some people are even saying, man, the God of War Ragnarok playthrough just seems boring. I don't understand it. All right, I'm just going to explain it to you how it is. Because you know me, I'm Mr. Honesty, not sugarcoating anything, right? I'm going to tell you exactly what's going on with God of War Ragnarok and why that playthrough just hasn't done that well, all right? Because I have the answers. And I know you're not going to like them, but I got to tell you the answers honestly because, you know, people are asking. I don't understand if this game is like Game of the Year potential. Most people love this game. They say it's even better than God of War 2018. You know, why is the playthrough still going? Why isn't it finished? Why don't people want to see it? Why don't people vote for it? Why, you know, what's going on with this playthrough? Why is it so lowly attended? And, you know, I'll tell you. I have answers for you, okay? You ready for this? First of all, allow me to catch you guys up on the God of War Ragnarok playthrough. I'm currently 46 parts in, okay? Each part is roughly an hour. There's a couple parts there that I think are actually longer than an hour because of boss fights. There may be one or two parts that are shorter because of a glitch or something with my recording. Usually, typically in a long playthrough, that happens, okay? So, God of War Ragnarok, if you remember, was released in early November, okay? When God of War Ragnarok was released, there were already spoilers all over the internet for the game. The entire plot had already been spoiled everywhere. Everyone who wanted to know what the game was already knew because the spoilers were insane. They idiotically sent out early copies again, which I always tell you guys they should never do anymore. There's a difference between the 1990s and the 2000s game media and the modern game media. Back then, it was a necessary evil. You had to send out early copies so they could play through the game and do reviews before those games hit the internet. Today, we don't need that anymore. Today, we literally have instant broadcasting of the game raw and live the moment it releases. Everyone can judge for themselves if it's a good game or not. We don't need some big talking media head to tell us. We have enough independent content creators out there that we can make the judgment for ourselves, or you could let them tell you what's going on release day. There's no reason whatsoever to be sending out copies of these games 1 to 2 weeks early, and then the entire plot of the game is spoiled on the internet before the game ever even sells. Okay? It's just insanely bad, outdated, stupid, old school business marketing mindset that is screwing over the modern gaming landscape. It is. This whole idea that you have to get early press copies out is so outdated and stupid. If the entire games industry just right now put down their foot and said no more, because there's been too many spoilers, too many instances of leaks, and too many instances of people, you know, stealing, ripping, illegally sharing games and plots to the games to the point where we feel it's hurting our games, we're not doing it anymore. Literally no one. No one is doing it anymore. As an industry, we got together overnight and we decided no more early copies because you can't be trusted. Therefore, every game will come out on release day. Everyone plays it at the same time. That includes the journalists. That includes big content creators who get the game for free and get paid to play and promote the game. That also includes normal people like you and me who have to buy the games outright and play them for ourselves. If we all got these games on day one, there would be no spoilers. And therefore, you'd have a feeling of hype. Oh my God, everyone is experiencing this game together on release day. This is a really awesome feeling. This is how it used to be. Yes, back in the day when I started on YouTube, you're talking over 10 years ago, no one had these early release copies, or if they did, it was just the select few of the game's media, and no one had leaked the plots of the fucking game all over the internet so early that all the hype was killed and squashed. People were able to play the game on release day and feel this feeling of community. We are all playing the hot new game together at once. We're all experiencing this game together for the very first time, and it was this awesome hype feeling. You don't get that awesome hype feeling anymore when people already played the game 2 weeks ago and already know all about it and it's all over the internet. And then, are there any more midnight releases? No, why would there be? Everyone has the game early, right? Why even go to the store to buy the game when you can just pre-order digitally anyway? You know, all that hype, that day one hype that used to be there, that used to really be a part of the gaming experience, has been lost to this new marketing ploy that these idiotic companies is using because they think they're going to make more money. They're not. They're losing hype and money, but they're too dumb to see it because they're stuck in their old school mentality way of thinking. They refuse to evolve with the times and realize that things have changed from the old days. So it's a major problem, right? There is no big hype anymore behind these giant releases because everyone already knows everything the day the game comes out, all right? The only exceptions to that rule are games that are not narrative focused. So I'll give you a perfect example here. Elden Ring is a case where the game got incredible hype once the game released. Why? Because the game was primarily focused on gameplay. There was no one on the internet going, oh my God, wait till you hear about that story spoiler about, you know, Miquella at the end of the game. Like, no one cared about that shit, right? They wanted to play the game and see the crazy gameplay elements for themselves. That was the hype that was behind that game. And that's why that game was insanely successful, all right? But when you talk narrative-based games today, the narrative's already known before the game's out. So where's the hype and who cares, right? So just from the get-go, a game like God of War Ragnarok, you know it's not going to get the hype, attention, and kind of awesome feeling of, oh my God, I cannot wait to see someone play it when it's already ruined on the day it comes out, okay? Now, if you compare my playthrough of God of War Ragnarok with other people's, you're going to notice a few distinct differences, okay? Difference number one, is that I'm taking my time to outright explore most, if not all, of the areas so far in the game. The only exception is I didn't go to Muspelheim yet, right? But all the other areas, I keep re-exploring, rediscovering new things. Oh, remember there's a wall I couldn't break before. Now I go back, I break the wall. Oh, look, there's an optional boss fight. Look, there's a whole new side content area. There's this, there's that, right? So I'm taking my time to open world explore and enjoy the game. Why? Because it's a great game. And that's what gamers should do if they're actually enjoying a game. They should take their time with it and explore. Now, the problem is the game is just so long. I'm 46 hours in. We're still in the midst of a giant side content area. And then after that, we still have tons more story. And then there's even more side content. The game is insanely long. People even said if you do everything, you could do 60 to 80 hours of gameplay. Okay? Now, I'm not saying I'm doing everything, but I just keep finding meaningful content. And you know me, today, the content I put out was very different from back in the day. 10 years ago, if this were me, I would have rushed through the game and beat it within a week. I would have beaten God of War Ragnarok because I wouldn't have done any of the side content. I would have said, we just got to get through it because we got to get to the next release, the next release, the next release, right? And people used to rightly criticize me for that and say, Phil, that formula may work for a very, how can I say, people with a bad attention span, right? Your playthroughs are digestible to those who come to your channel, watch, nod, and move on. What's the next? What's the next? But for those of us who actually enjoy games at a deeper level, who are truly passionate about gaming, we are upset that you don't take your time with the games you play. You rush through and you end up missing half the content in the game, so it's not even fair when you review the game because you haven't seen half the content that's in it. And on top of that, you know, if you want to go back and watch your playthrough, why would they? Literally, you're doing an abridged version of the game. Half the time, it's just a bunch of dumb commentary when you're doing it anyway. So I took all of that to heart 10 years ago, all right? And what I've done in the last decade, I tried to change myself as a content creator. And if you haven't noticed, again, particularly since I became an interactive live streamer over 5 years ago, my content changed, all right? Directly dependent on what you guys told me. You said if you really care about games and you're passionate and you want your audience to feel that, you got to take your time. If you're playing a game that's really good and fun, you got to take your time with it. You got to not rush through it. You got to do the content that's meaningful. You know what I'm saying? And I'm okay with that. The problem is it takes time to do that. I'm 46 hours into God of War and I've been playing it for over a month. I couldn't have gotten through it any faster unless I became the kind of guy that when a game like this comes out, all I did was play the game. And ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to our third point. The vast majority of people out there who played God of War Ragnarok rushed through the game and beat it within a week because they wanted the early views. They felt that if they rushed through the game and beat it as quickly as possible, that would get the hype amongst their audience, and then they dropped it like a hot rock and moved on to other games during the season and never looked back. That's what most content creators did. I know because I researched it. And I'm looking, I'm like, yeah, most people played it like 2-3 days straight, and then they balanced it with a couple other things and beat it within a week or so, and that was it. They didn't do half the side content in the game. They weren't doing the Berserker fights. They don't care. To them, it's just a product to push out for their viewership so they can move on to the next product to make money. That's how I used to be. I'm admitting this to you now. A decade ago, that was also my mentality. When I was popular on YouTube and I had that level of viewership, I was like, man, I lose attention on these new playthroughs within just a few days. So if I don't beat these games right away, people won't care. I can't have a lingering playthrough for a month because people will fall off from the playthrough and not give a shit. So I used to turbo through those playthroughs to get them done quickly. And everyone told me I was doing it wrong. This was the dawn of things like this is how you don't play. You have to understand. This is where the major criticisms against me started coming from. People saying, you suck at games, you rush through them, you don't fairly rate them, you don't give them enough time, you skip all the content, you make fun of the game developer, your playthroughs suck. Change. So I did. But now you look at God of War Ragnarok and you're like, so what happened? Well, I took my time, I'm doing all the content, I'm balancing it out with other playthroughs so people who don't like God of War Ragnarok don't get bored, right? I'm trying to be as meaningful as possible. And what happened? Well, everyone complained, oh, this isn't exciting anymore. All the hype died down within 1 week for this game. No one cares about it anymore. Why are you still playing it? Oh, there's a poll. Never vote for God of War. Vote for something else. That's what happens. You can't please everyone, you see? So, is the God of War Ragnarok playthrough, dwindling, or is it in the state it's in because the game sucks? Hell no. Is it because my gameplay sucks? No, my gameplay does not suck. I've watched some other content creators play this game. They're worse than me. They really, I told you, I watched someone die to the first boss like 5 times on standard difficulty. And this is a popular content creator with a profitable following, much bigger than me. This is the level that content creators are at today. They're not good. They're not. It's hilarious, okay? So it's not my gameplay that sucks. It's not the game that sucks. It's not the streams that suck. It's the situation. In order to get any kind of hype out of God of War Ragnarok, I would have had to play it at release week and played it nonstop and beaten it within a few days, and then we could have moved on. But then no side content, no meaningful stuff. Couldn't even fairly review it because I'm just rushing through it to pump out the next playthrough. That's the old DSP. That's who you guys told me a decade ago don't be. This is how you don't play criticize, and who I changed from being. So when we get lengthy playthroughs like this, okay, this is always going to be a concern. If it's not Elden Ring where the game's focused on the gameplay, but a lot on the narrative, you're always going to have this issue as the concern. All right? Now, there is one other factor that needs to be said, and that's timing. All right? If God of War Ragnarok had been released during the summertime, when there was nothing else going on in gaming, and no one was hyped for other games, it wouldn't have been a concern. People still would have cared about it. But it came out in the midst of the busiest gaming time of the year. You've got God of War going head-to-head with titans like Modern Warfare 2, right? You've got Pokemon, which everyone loves, right? Especially in my audience. I know you guys like Pokemon. You voted for it. You were upset when I said I wasn't even going to do it yet. Such high-profile releases that came out over the last couple of months. And so you've got the attention span of gamers pulled in a million directions, and now you expect that somehow they're all supposed to be focused on God of War, right? If you remember that same week God of War released, excuse me, that was disgusting. If you remember that same week God of War released, we had Sonic Frontiers. And a lot of people were like, oh, I wonder if that's going to be good because there hasn't been a 3D Sonic game in a while, and most of them recently have sucked. So there was this feeling of, oh, wonder and curiosity. Will it be any good? And honestly, more people were attending my Sonic streams than my God of War because of that air of curiosity. Oh, God of War, people kind of know what to expect. And again, if they wanted to see a playthrough, they could have watched someone play it at launch and beat it in 3 days, or they could have already read the story spoilers 2 weeks ago. You see, it's so different now with these big new releases. Things have changed so badly. You would say, oh, they changed. They didn't change for the better. They've changed for the far worse. They really, really have. It's sad. The state of the games industry. It's also sad that you don't hear anyone big talking about shit like this. Isn't it funny? You don't hear any big content creators talk about this. You want to know why? Because they don't want you to know how it is, because they want you to think everything is rainbows and unicorns, and they don't want anyone looking at their content creation style and criticizing it. They just want you to digest the product they put out immediately, give them money for it, and then pump out the next product. They don't want you to know about how the cycle can be broken if people actually start to point out these shortcomings and how games are today, you know? But, you know, so what I mean, I'm the one who will talk about this. You will not hear other content creators talking about stuff like this because they're so afraid about losing their meal tickets. They're big money that they're rolling, and they don't want that gravy train to stop, you know? You know what? 10 years ago, I was probably the same. 10 years ago, I was very, very, very obstinate. People would tell me, Phil, you got to change for the better. You got to do this or that. And I'd be like, what are you talking about? I'm the popular YouTuber. I'm the one with the YouTube channel. I'm the one with the following. So obviously I must know what I'm doing. If I didn't know what I was doing, then how the hell would I be popular on YouTube? Who are you to tell me better or tell me to change this or that? That was my dumb ass take on things a decade ago, you know? And that was stupid. Why do you think there was a backlash against me on the internet? Why do you think this is how you don't play the game so popular? Because it was kind of like, let's stick it to this asshole. Let's stick it to this stubborn idiot who won't listen to reason, right? But now here we are. It's 2022. My methods have all changed to what people tell me to do a decade ago, and look at the playthrough, right? But the thing is, it's not just that playthrough. I mean, excuse me, it pretty much is just that playthrough. If you look at other playthroughs that I've been doing and whatever, they're not like that. You know, the streams get more attendance, they get more engagement, they get more support, right? And I just find it funny that there's more people who want to see Pokemon than God of War Ragnarok on my streams. All right, that's pretty interesting. You know, now listen, I love Pokemon, but there's a distinct difference between a game where all you're doing is running around, catching creatures, fighting them against each other in a turn-based setting, versus a game that has a really interesting, well-written story, groundbreaking graphics, amazing, you know, music, tons of meaningful side content. It's like apples and oranges comparing the two, you know. But people want Pokemon over God of War. That's pretty nuts to me. Anyway, so the elephant in the room has been addressed. Okay, there's nothing wrong with God of War Ragnarok. In fact, it's one of my favorite games of the year, if not going to end up being likely in my top 3 picks for Game of the Year 2022. All right? I got to finish it to make that distinction, which is why it's kind of disheartening when I keep putting it into polls and stuff. And I'm like, hey, guys, you know, I want to play it. Let's go. And everyone's like, no, I want something else. Like, I'm never going to beat the game then. You understand? I'm just entering the final major side area of the game. I need time to get through it. Then there's more story. There is Muspelheim, which at this point, I might just never even step foot into Muspelheim. For what I'm to understand, it would take about an hour to an hour and a half to do the challenges there, and then there is a secret boss there that actually is part of the story. But at this point, if people are just so done with the game, right, are you guys really going to be tuning in to watch me do Muspelheim? And then on top of that, I got to beat this game so I can do my year-end series. You know, I got to finish this. So there's a lot of factors here that I got to think about, right? I guess we got to think about it. And we'll talk about it, all right? But, you know, there's nothing wrong with the game. I'm sorry. Anyone's going to say, oh, the game sucks. You're just fucking wrong. You're just an idiot. You just like to hate on shit for no reason. The game's outstanding, okay? There's nothing wrong with my playthrough. My playthrough is covering it in a way like I cover most other major games, with tons of side content, and trying not to skip anything that's meaningful, and enjoying the game for what it is at face value, which is what I try to do. I try to be an honest gamer. I'm not here to rush through and make a paycheck. I'm here to enjoy a game for what it is, right? Properly represent that game on my streams. So it's not any different than another playthrough that I would do. The difference is the situation, right? It's the game was spoiled 2 weeks before it ever came out, so anyone who wanted the story already got it, right? Everyone already rushed to play and beat the game within a week so they could move on to other stuff and make big bank at this time of year. They didn't care about the quality of their playthrough. They didn't care about the completeness of the playthrough. They just wanted to be part of that hype mentality for a few days and then just move on to the next for money. I didn't do that. I've changed my style up from doing that many years ago, and you guys told me I was all the better for it. But what that means is now we have a lingering playthrough that seems like it's never finishing, and the attendance and the attention has dwindled, and I can't fix that. You see? So, please understand that, all right? That's, you know, I hate people bad-mouthing a game that's amazing. And, oh, it sucks, I don't want to see it. Well, then don't fucking be there for the stream, that's fine, but don't tell me the game sucks. It doesn't. You know, you're just one of those hype monster people. If a game's not currently hype or popular, you don't care. It's kind of like someone just said in the stream before I started talking. All of Phil's playthroughs, all right, are basically older games now. Older games, I want you to think about that statement. He needs to move on to newer games. older games. Let's think about this. Modern Warfare 2 came out about a month and a half ago. Pokemon Scarlet came out about not even a month ago. God of War Ragnarok a month and a half ago, right? High on Life came out less than, well, I guess as of today, a week ago. Older games. Do you understand the mentality of the common viewer these days and how it's changed? They actually think a game from the last month is an older game. So how is anyone ever supposed to play a game? Unless the game is 4 hours long, right? It seems like as soon as you hit the 10-hour mark, oh, that game's old. Like, what are you talking about? Are you out of your mind? Do you have a lifespan of 6 months where a month is so long, it's an older game? Like, what is going on, right? But that's what I mean. Here's what's happened. Things have changed for the worse. Everyone today has become me from 10 years ago. Everyone today that's a content creator has now conditioned their audience to believe that all new games must be played at launch as much as possible in a short window of time so you can push through it and get right to the next game. Why? I'll tell you why. Because a lot of content creators out there get paid to do so. They're going to get paid to have that quick promotional opportunity when the game first comes out for a few streams. Then that opportunity dries up. So for them, they're done. I got to finish this playthrough now to move on to the next game that I'm probably going to get paid to promote. So to them, it's move on from paycheck to paycheck to paycheck, rush through. Okay? What can you do? Nothing besides wake up and understand that's not how the gaming industry should be. That's not how games should be treated. That's not actually respecting the games or the game devs. It's just, you know, I'm sorry. This whole vicious cycle of content creation is bad for the industry at this point. You know, I was one of the people who 10 years ago, that was me. And you guys told me 10 years ago that was the bad way to do it. And I listened and changed. Now all of a sudden in 2022, everyone is Dark Side Phil from 2010, and somehow it's all acceptable. Like, how? Because they have giant views and they're rich now? That's stupid. You know, stop the vicious cycle of bullshit. And don't say this, oh, this game sucks now because, you know, Phil took a month to beat it. Yeah, the game's 60 hours long. Did you want me to just play God of War for 2 weeks and play nothing else? And then you complained that I skipped Sonic Frontiers, and I skipped Pokemon, and I skipped every game, just like people have already complained that I skipped 5-6 games in the last 2 months, right? So it's like, and then you can't have everything. You just can't. And then I see some idiotic statements like you should actually stream more. I should stream more. I'm here 6 days a week full time. I don't even get a day off to spend with my family because I'm here 6 days a week full time with you streaming. You want me to stream more. You're a moron. Okay? Holly jolly, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. You're an idiot. Sorry, I have to sugarcoat it because I feel bad saying it around this time of year. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. All right? Okay, so, ladies and gents, did I get even more dumb things? Cut the podcast. All right, goodbye. Cut the podcast, yes. Because totally the podcast hasn't been an amazing addition in the last year that has its own viewer base and following. People outright telling me the podcast was the best thing you could have done because you're diversifying your content. Now we have a time to discuss issues, so when you play games, you don't have to be distracted from the game. You can actually have those things discussed on a podcast setting. By the way, I'm getting older. As I get older, I'm not going to want to do as much gaming. I'm not going to be able to do as much gaming. The podcast is a way to diversify my stuff, right? Oh, no. Oh, get rid of the podcast. How about I get rid of you? Like right now. There you go. Now we're better. I got rid of you, and now we're actually happier. There you go. Anyway, so, yeah, God of War Ragnarok. Am I disappointed with how it's turning out? I am. Not the game, the playthrough. And it's not anything I'm doing. It's not anything that I feel the people who are actually showing up are doing. It's just the way the games industry is today. Unless I rushed through this game within a week and a half, no one was going to care about it to begin with, you know? Even that being said, just to give some perspective, God of War Ragnarok is the highest viewed playthrough that I've done in months. Like, if you take a look at, you know, the views, part 1 is over 9,000 views. The whole first, like, 10 parts, it ranged between 5 to 3,000 views. You know, that's a lot. Most playthroughs I do these days don't get that kind of views. So even with it having a very slow following, it just has a following that's bigger than most of my other games that I'm playing right now, you know? So there's no overall complaints here. You know what I mean? It's just a situation that people keep asking me about, and I'm like, well, I don't really, do you really want me to outline it? Well, here, I just did. You know, it's the games industry, and it's the gaming landscape as a whole when it comes to content creation. That's why the God of War Ragnarok playthrough is being received the way it is. It has nothing to do with the quality of the game. It has nothing to do with the quality of the playthrough. It's the same as the other playthroughs I do. But, you know, what are you going to do? All right.